Sailing just got nerfed, Reddit is in meltdown, and the mods are barely holding on to their hats. Welcome to RuneScape Chronicles. Let's talk about what happened this week. A brand new game update just released, and today's is a controversial one. Sailing experience has just been nerfed in some big ways. The Crystal Extractor is an item many players found to be controversial since it would give players an additional 35k experience per hour with virtually no effort. With this week's game update, the Crystal Extractor saw a 60% nerf, causing the experience per hour to drop all the way down to about 15k. We knew this change was coming though, and players were expecting buffs to the actual training methods themselves to counter this. Courier tasks seem to be the only training method which has similar XP rates before and after the updates receiving buffs. Barracuda trials give the same amount of experience as before, but with the Crystal Extractor changes, players will receive 10% less experience as before the update, with no visual trade-off for the Gwyneth glide course. And the most controversial changes were with salvaging, especially for the casual players. Overall, salvaging success rates have increased by 15 to 20%, but the action of salvaging has been made longer. Instead of rolling a salvage skilling roll every 4 game ticks, it is now every 5 game ticks. So there's a 15 to 20% buff to finding salvages, but the 20% decrease in speed completely negates the buff. Some higher tiered salvages also had their experience drops increased by 5% to compensate, but players are still receiving this as a net negative. Players who were getting 64k experience per hour doing the full AFK salvaging method are now reporting numbers as low as 37k XP per hour doing the exact same methods. One of the biggest nerfs came from the experience gained when sorting through high tier salvages. And the nerf is pretty heavy. Wait, why is World 302 full? Oh. That's why. It's not just Reddit that's in an uproar about these changes. People are logging in game and are clearly pretty angry. However, before we carry on to other training methods that got buffed, I will say it's probably unintentional from Jagex that salvaging got nerfed to the extent that it did. They made more double salvaging spots by putting more shipwrecks closer together, which was probably changed to help players AFK. But this inadvertently caused a lot more downtime because only so many shipwrecks can be active for salvaging at once. More shipwreck spots means the probability that both shipwrecks were down at the same time became a lot higher, forcing players into a world hopping meta and a less social playstyle. Fingers crossed that this was completely accidental and they're going to revert the change or make it a lot better so that double spots are good again. But despite all the nerfs, there is one training method which didn't get negatively affected and actually got buffed instead. Tick manipulation salvaging methods got heavily buffed with this update. Since you drop your salvages without sorting them, and since you're always rolling salvage once every 1.5 ticks, this was one of the only methods to get buffed. And because JCW is a level 3 skiller that doesn't have access to the high level trials, this was a very good change for him. He's able to get over 200k experience per hour doing this method using 2 dragon salvaging hooks. But keep in mind, just building these 2 hooks alone is going to cost you 200 mil. These experience rates are identical, if not slightly higher, than if you were to complete the Gwyneth Glide Marlin Barracuda trial efficiently with a rosewood hole. Now, controversial opinion here, don't get too mad at me, but I personally think the Crystal Extractor nerfs are fine, but the experience rates of sorting through salvages needs to be changed somehow. Also, bringing back double shipwrecks to their former glory would be good. At the end of the day, nerfs never feel good, and I personally experienced a lot of FOMO too, but I think Jagex will make this right and add a lot of quality of life changes to salvaging that will restore most people's faith in their choices. But what do you think about my suggestions here? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And just before we uploaded, Jagex just released this post acknowledging the concerns about the nerfs. For the 2 crewmates salvaging method, other changes might marginally improve its XP, and they plan to increase the XP for the more active self-salvage, self-sort approach to make it worthwhile again. They're going to increase the XP for the Gwyneth Glide to compensate for the Crystal Extractor nerf. And they have no immediate plans for port task tweaks, but are open to boosting them if needed. More specific details on the plan changes and XP rates will be shared in a blog post tomorrow, so to keep up with all things old school, subscribe to the channel and we'll keep you posted. The holiday season has officially begun, and what better way to celebrate than with our site-wide holiday sale. Commemorate Lumbridge with this awesome shirt dedicated to the starter city, or also in hoodie form for the cold winter months ahead. Designed by the talented Mitchy Foxes, this stylish piece is perfect for keeping you warm this winter. We have everything you need RuneScape related, including desk mats, apparel, travel bottles, phone cases, and more. But hurry, because we can only sell 100 of each item, and once an item is sold out, it will never be restocked as to comply with Jagex IP policy. And don't just take my word for it, you guys have been loving the merch recently. Thank you for all the kind comments. So head on over to rschronicles.com and use code HOLIDAYS for 10% off at checkout. And thank you guys for your continued support. Now back to the episode. So alongside the brand new rebalances to sailing, we also received the drop rates for just about everything sailing related. And with it, we have some new information. Most Slayer related sailing monsters have significant buffs to their drop tables when on Slayer task. Strikeworms and Frost Dragons specifically have their Dragon Metal Sheet drops increased by nearly 4 times while killing them on task. They're selling for 3 mil each right now and are dropped pretty commonly. Or take for instance some other sailing related monsters such as the Great White Sharks or the Vampire Krakens. Both of these monsters have the ability to drop multiple dragon sheets, keel parts, and large keel parts. These are worth millions of gold each, with the large keel parts reaching tens of mils each. But these are just supplementary drops. The Bottle of Storm, which allows you to create the greater teleport focus, is worth a whopping 37 mil and is obtainable from the Vampire Krakens. And after today's buffs to salvaging, broken dragon hooks are currently 80 mil each, obtainable from the Great White Sharks. And what's cool about these monsters is they're both safe spottable, meaning you can kill them easily with no real risk. But what if you didn't want to partake in ship combat and wanted to skill? Deep sea trawling seems to be very good right now. The new high-tiered fish aren't only useful, but they're also expensive, making it one of the more consistent moneymakers at higher sailing levels. But that's not all, because if you're lucky, you'll be able to snag yourself an angler's paint. The first one ever sold for over 800 mil. And it's not worth that much anymore, but it's still worth close to 100 mil. A nice little bonus while doing an already consistent moneymaker. The skill is still fresh, and I'm sure tons of new money-making methods will be formulated as time goes on. What's been your favorite method so far? Let us know in the comments below. So with this week's game update, the Tears of Guthix as well as Experience Lamps now have the ability to give players sailing experience. This should allow players to skip a big portion of the long and grueling early levels of sailing and get into the faster methods like the Barracuda trials. But before you could use lamps on the skill, people already began boosting for others. Sailing's pretty unique in that you can train it with other players directly by boarding their boat. One activity all players can do on a ship is trim the sails of the ship. This provides them with experience, but here's the catch. The experience you receive doesn't scale with your sailing level. It scales with the ship owner's sailing level and ship, which means at level 5 you're getting significantly more XP trimming the sails than what you should be getting. This makes skipping over the levels a breeze, no pun intended. But that's not the only way you're able to get a head start in sailing. Sea charting is an activity you're able to do no matter if it's your boat or your friend's boat. So in theory, if you had a friend with a maxed out boat drive you around, not only could you get to sea charting locations faster, but you would get the bonus experience from sail trimming. And people are charging bank for this. But before I continue, even though a service may claim they're JEGX compliant, you cannot control what happens with the gold you trade to other players. This has led to potential bans in the past where people were paying for a service and the person they paid real world traded, both of them got banned. But for those curious, what exactly is being sold? Apparently you can boost 5 to 30 sailing for 50 mil, 5 to 45 sailing for 150 mil, or get every location chartered in the game for 150 mil. Players will pay tons of gold for just about anything. If you're planning to take advantage of the higher XP, I would recommend putting your gold coins back in your bank and instead just ask a friend with a higher sailing level if they want to go sailing instead. That sounds like a lot more fun. Despite most of the game's players being out in the Gillenorian seas, there has been something happening in the depths of Karumja. The Inferno is one of the most difficult pieces of content in the game, and as such, it's attracted the best PVMers, not just to complete the Inferno, but to do it in the fastest amount of time. The first Inferno completion ever was by Woox and done in a time of 1 hour and 44 minutes. That's quite fast for a first cape even for today's standards, but that was back in 2017. Comparing that gear to today's gear is like comparing a chicken against corporeal beast, and players' technical skill and knowledge about game mechanics would only make this time go down for the coming years. So after improvements to the game, new gear coming out, and multiple years of skill and knowledge being acquired, Scotty was able to lower this time to 37 minutes and 51 seconds, a fraction of Woox's original run. This time was set 4 months ago and included the newly released items from the Doom of Mokwaddle and Yama. Players like Scotty and Visually Matt were dominant on the Inferno leaderboards during this, and with other players over a minute behind. That's when a player named Amethystism started grinding the Inferno, submitting their first time of 38 minutes and 39.6 seconds to the leaderboards on August 25th of this year, rank 4 at the time. But this wasn't good enough. It would take him 2 months before he was able to shave time off his PB, putting him in 3rd place. Then 2 weeks later, he would beat this time again, getting the second ever sub 38 time, and cementing his second place. Players were quick to notice one item in his inventory which wasn't in Scotty's or Visually Matt's runs, the Din's Bulwark. The Din's Bulwark has a special attack which does a large amount of AoE damage to any enemies nearby. So by stacking NPCs with each other, he's able to output a lot of DPS and get done with waves a lot sooner. Here's the issue though, he's not even halfway through the Inferno and he's almost out of brews.
It's not that pace, but it is runnable, you know? 1130 is nothing to be sniffed at. But I've used all my brew doses, so I did want to Dins all these, but I'm not a lunatic. That was a bit sketchy. Go on. Yes! Woohoo! Let's f***ing go! Let's go! Woo! It's finally over! Oh!
He smashed the world record, getting himself a time of 37 minutes and 19 seconds, over 30 seconds faster compared to the previous world record. Well done to him, and of course, Scotty and Visually Matt for their insane PBs. The question is, will this record stand the test of time, or will the other players get motivated with the new Din's Bulwark strategy? RS Chronicles will keep you posted. But if you think we were done talking about the Inferno, things are just starting to heat up. Over the past couple of weeks, we've showcased Sardaco attempting the Inferno, where his attempts have made it even as far as Zuck, the final boss. Well, as a reminder, Sardaco is not only brand new to the game, starting his journey less than 5 months ago, but he is also playing an Iron Man where he must get all of his gear and supplies on his own. For the past month, he's been either attempting the Inferno or he has been gathering up the supplies so he can continue to attempt it. But despite all of his attempts leading to failure, he doesn't give up, and it leads to this run.
We're getting a f***ing Inferno Cape, boys. We're getting a f***ing Inferno Cape, boys! Let's go! We did it!
He gets the Infernal Cape, taking him over 75 attempts. Not even a full 5 months on an Iron Man, and the cape is now his. If you haven't gotten your Infernal Cape yet, but have been planning to, then hopefully this can serve as some motivation. No matter how difficult the immediate goal may look, Old School RuneScape is a game about perseverance.
Oh my god, I never thought it was gonna happen, guys. Holy crap.
And I know you too can complete your goals. So well done Sardaco on this insane achievement, and it seems the cape has only motivated him to keep playing. He's truly enjoying the grind of Old School RuneScape. And now he's completing a lot of Slayer related goals, currently tasked with Tormented Demons. Check out his stream below and everyone else featured in this video to stay up to date. That's all for RuneScape Chronicles this week. We'll see you next Wednesday with another episode. Thanks for watching, guys. See you then. Bye-bye.